higher. Don't stop, man, start that fire. We about to take you higher. Don't stop, man, start that fire. We about to take you higher. Stop, man, start that
Bird Brains, and welcome to the first Camaro vlog. Do you want to call them Camaro vlogs, car vlogs? Miss Bird said we should call them auto vlogs. I kind of like that. I don't know. But a little bit of a change in pace from what you're used to seeing on the channel, so bear with me if the quality isn't as high as you'd expect or, you know, isn't top notch. This is all brand new to me. I've never done car vlogging or anything like that. But just be patient with me and you know I'll get it right. So before anyone just completely loses their mind, no, I did not sell a bike to get this car. No bikes were harmed in the making of this video. We still have all three bikes. We're actually trying to get rid of Miss Bird's Ninja, but that's for a whole nother story. I did, however, trade in my truck for this car, and there was a few reasons why. First off, I really liked my truck, but it was just really boring. I'm not a boring vehicle type of person, and that truck was pretty boring. Now, granted, you can always, you know, upgrade trucks and things like that, but it was two-wheel drive. It wasn't a four-wheel drive, so lifting it or anything like that was just, it didn't make any sense. Plus, it's really expensive to do all that kind of stuff, so it was not worth putting my money into for that kind of project. My second biggest complaint was that it's a bitch to park. No matter how good you are at parking, finding a good spot where you can actually maneuver the truck into that spot is just a pain in the ass. You would think in Texas we would be smart by now, considering like 75% of the people here drive trucks, that they'd make the parking lots bigger, but that's just wishful thinking, to be honest. And then the third reason, which is probably the biggest reason, is it just did not make sense for me to have a truck. I initially bought the truck thinking that we'd be going on a bunch of road trips, towing the bikes around, you know, hauling stuff for landscaping and yada, yada, yada. In the almost 2 years that I owned that truck, I used it for truck stuff maybe 10 times. Maybe around 10 times. I only towed a trailer 3 times the entire time I had it, so having that big of a vehicle that was that much of an inconvenience, that was that expensive, the car payments on the truck, or the truck payments, were over $400 a month, just did not make any sense to me. Plus, I feel like if you're a car guy, you're always a car guy. I don't think you ever get rid of that bug. It's very similar to motorcycles in the sense that once you catch the bug, you have the bug. Plain and simple. And even though I did not miss the Trans Am, I do not regret selling the Trans Am because I feel like I've gotten a lot more enjoyment out of the money I got from the Trans Am that I would have gotten from that car. I did miss having a V8 6-speed muscle car. Which brings me to my next point. Chances are, if you're this type of person, you've already typed in, oh, you should have bought a, insert personal opinion here. Let me tell you that this was not a Chevy fanboy purchase, outside of the fact that I just like the way the car looks. But let me explain to you in more detail why I chose this particular car, this particular trim of this car. So when I first set out to look at a V8 manual muscle car, I told myself I don't want to be biased on what I've had on the past. I want to basically test drive all the vehicles that I like the looks of and see, basically compare apples to apples, what the best muscle car I can get, in my opinion, in this set price range. And I'll just go ahead and be candid with you. My price range was anywhere between $22,000 to about $28,000. I didn't really want to go over 25 though, just because with the money I had set aside, I wanted to keep my car payments either the same or lower. So I didn't want to go over 25 because the amount I had for down payment would keep me right about that same payment. So I told myself I like the looks of the newer Mustangs, the 17 and up, whatever they did their latest change. I like the look of the SRTs and up, Challengers, Chargers, Hellcats, Scat Pack, you name it. I like the looks of all of those. So I went and started looking, and I was pleasantly unsurprised that those cars are very expensive. The newer cars, I mean, this is the same thing with the 2017 and up Camaros. I mean, it's just a newer car, so it hasn't depreciated in value that much, which, I mean, if you bought that car brand new, you would hope for. So it makes sense. But that kind of narrowed my options down to pretty much Chevrolet, or GM, I should say. There was like a 2008 CTS-V that was pretty nice. I kind of went back and forth between the C5s and the C5Zs and the C6 Corvettes. I even found some C6Zs that kind of fell within that price range, a little bit higher on the mileage, but they were within the price range, and I really liked the way they look. So I started looking, and I remembered the 1LE Camaro. Now I'm going to go into depth about what the 1LE Camaro is later in the video, but basically it's a package in between the ZL1 and the SS. Back when I was in college, one of my best friends, Isaac, had a 2012 or 2013 1LE Camaro. He let me drive it. I absolutely fell in love with it. I loved the way they look. I loved the way they drove. They handled so amazingly well that I told myself, one day I'm going to have to own one of those cars. So I was like, I know they're rare, but let me go ahead and start looking. So when I first started looking, there was one for sale in the entire country that fit my parameters as far as price range, standard, and the colors that I wanted. And that was up in Dallas, Texas, and it was about $27,999. It was right at the top of my price range, so I thought, you know what, probably not going to work out. But that did narrow down my choices to pretty much a SS or 1LE Camaro and either a C5Z or a C6 or a C6Z Corvette. I know, like I said, I'm not being a GM fanboy. That is literally just how I narrowed down the options. Everyone's going to say, yeah, you could have got a 2013 Mustang and 9,000 horsepower, nitrous and boost, and nobody likes you. If you're thinking that, let me just break the news to you. Nobody likes you. But anyways, back to what actually matters. That's kind of where my options landed. So I started doing some pros and cons. What would be the pros of owning a Corvette versus a Camaro? And I went back and forth probably about 6 times of like, all right, I'm going to get a Camaro, or all right, I'm going to get a Corvette. And I ended up landing on the Camaro for the following reasons. One, I can get a newer Camaro for the same price, putting down very close to the same power. Now everyone's going to say, well, horsepower to weight ratio. You're absolutely correct. The horsepower to weight ratio on the Corvette is obviously going to be better on the Corvette than it is on the Camaro. The Camaro is a lot heavier, and it's not putting down quite as much power, especially as the C6Zs, but it's still a good amount of rear wheel power. Number 2 is its drivability and comfort. Now, I've driven some Corvettes, and granted, they were pretty heavily modified, but one thing I do remember is that they were pretty uncomfortable. You felt a lot of the road. The suspension was very stiff. It was pretty loud. Granted, like I said, that I think a lot of that has to do with the car being modded, but I still take those into account because I might want to mod the vehicle in the future. I don't know where I'm at on my numbers, but another reason that I chose it is because the Corvette does not have any back seats. Now you're probably saying, what kind of back seat does the Camaro have? And I will be completely upfront with you, not much. It does not have much of a back seat at all. But, and here's a big but, me and Miss Bird are planning on having kids within the next 2 to 4 years. That being said, I could put a car seat in the back of this car if, when the time comes, I absolutely do not want to get rid of this car. I could put a car seat in the back of this car. It wouldn't be ideal. It would not be, it would not be convenient by any means, but it could be done. Corvette wouldn't be a possibility. And then another reason that drew me closer to the Camaros is that you're going to get a better overall daily driver, and that's going to go into a few categories. The entertainment center is way better on the 2014 Camaros as they are from any of those years Corvettes, unless you get into the 2008, 2009 C6Zs. They have, a lot of them have the option of getting the touchscreen and the nice sound system, but it's usually going to add another, you know, $1,000 or so to the price tag. And really the only big thing that I didn't get on the Camaro or the Corvette side was the fact that it's a Corvette. I've always had a dream of owning a Corvette. I set a goal for myself saying that I wanted to have one by the time I was 30, and the way I justified not doing it is realizing the fact that I could have had one by the time I was 30. Now, granted, that's still 5 years from now, so who knows what's going to change in the next 5 years, but I could have bought a Corvette over buying this car, and that kind of, you know, gave me some sort of satisfaction as far as that goes. But the absolute biggest reason why I chose this car and this color specifically, I know I shared with a few of you guys when I first originally planned on looking for a car, is that I wanted a white 1LE Camaro. And originally I did want one. Hard part is that they're pretty rare in that color, and red was my second choice. The reason why I absolutely pulled the trigger on this one is it's kind of sentimental. I don't know if I've told you guys this story before, but when I was working for the railroad, they always tell you, hey, don't overspend. Like, don't, you know, get too used to having all this money and go out and buy, you know, a brand new car and a new house and everything like that, because chances are you can get furloughed. For those of you who don't know, furlough is basically like getting laid off, but it's temporary. They're like, oh, you might come back type of thing. And you heard this from everybody, from coworkers that have been there for 2 years all the way up to guys that have been there for 20, 30 years. Even my dad, he's lifetime railroader. He said, do not go out and buy a new car. Don't go buy a new house. Don't live outside of your means, even though you are making a lot of money. Wait until you get stable first before you start, you know, going out and pulling out a bunch of loans. And of course, me being me, I was like, whatever. I want a car now. So I went out looking for a muscle car at that time, and I had my options narrowed down between a 2001 Trans Am WS6 or a brand spanking new 2013 Camaro 1LE red and black. I literally had it. I had the order sheet complete. All I had to do was hit submit. I had gotten pre-approved and everything. All I had to do was hit that submit button, and that car would have been ordered brand new from the factory to me. Problem is that the car payments would have been about $660 a month, as opposed to the Trans Am I could have bought in cash. So just before I hit submit, I had that one part of my brain say, hey, dumbass, just get the Trans Am, use the Trans Am for a while. If you absolutely hate it, you can make this decision later. So I went down, bought the Trans Am in cash. The very next day, literally less than 24 hours after I bought that Trans Am, I get laid off. I drove home after getting laid off with paper plates on my car. So that was a blessing in disguise. But here we are 6 years later. Good God, 6 years. I'm at a much better spot in my life, and I now have a red and black Camaro 1LE. So it was literally the exact same car, just a year newer, which was beneficial because 2014 is when they did the redesign. I don't know what they call it, the refreshed 5th gen, I think is what they call it. It's just got the different taillights and the different grille and all that kind of stuff. But I thought to myself, hey, that to me is pretty sentimental, that I've been through so much bullshit ever since I got furloughed from the railroad, that I'm now in a spot where I've got a good job, I got a steady job, everything is pretty much fine and dandy to where I can buy this car without really, you know, taking that big of a risk. And also I got it at such a good price that I put $4,000 down, because that's what I had saved up to put on pretty much any car I got. And I got it at such a good price that I was able to add gap warranty, the major mechanical protection, so if the transmission or anything, it's like $100 deductible and everything is fixed. And then I also got wheel and tire coverage, because each wheel and tire combined is anywhere between $500 and $1,000 depending on what tire you put on it. So I was like, you know what, that's going to be worth it. And that also came with like dent protection, so if I get any dents, if I get any pretty much anything on the exterior of the car, a little small scratches and stuff like that, it can all get repaired for I think like 25 or 50 bucks. So that right there is going to pay for itself. The wheel and tire protection was only like 300 bucks. So if I use that once, it pays for itself. Pretty much everything that I got extra on top of the loan is going to pay for itself, even if I only use it one time. But I got all of that, and my payments only went up $20 a month. So I can live with that. I can, you know, deal with the extra $20 a month. My insurance also went up about $60 a month, but I had planned for that because being in insurance, I've seen too many times where people go and they go through the trouble of financing and they get approved for the loan, yada, yada, yada. And then they call and say, hey, I'm at a dealership. I just bought my new car. I want to add it to my policy. And you add it and it's another $200 a month, and they turn out not being able to get the car because they can't afford the insurance on it. So thankfully I did all my preparation prior to actually pulling the trigger, and everything worked out absolutely great. And speaking of everything working absolutely great, I'm going to go ahead and use this time to pimp out my my dealer here. He pretty much bent over backwards to get everything working for me the way it did. I did end up driving to North Austin to pick this car up, which is fine because, like I said, they're rare, and gladly drive 80 miles to pick up a car. I've driven to Dallas before, which is about 6 hours to pick up a car, and I actually like going farther to pick up vehicles because then you get that, you know, if you buy a car in town, it's like, oh, I buy a car, then I drive 20 minutes home. But if you're out of town, you get that whole, you know, hour and a half, or however long to really, you know, bond with the car. But anyways, this was bought from Covert Cadillac. Of course, it was in their used car department, seeing as it is not a Cadillac. But my salesman was named Corey Rutherford. I'm going to go ahead and put Corey's information down in the description. That way, if you are looking for a vehicle, just tell him Justin from Bike and Bird sent you, and he will roll out the red carpet for you and do his best to get you in the vehicle that you want. And you guys know me. I don't pimp people out just because they give me a deal. I was not paid to, you know, shout him out on the channel or anything like that. He literally just did a great job. He got all of my information prior to me going there. That way, literally, like, as soon as I got there, it was like, boom, sign this, sign this, sign this. Put me over to another office. They had a big, awesome digital, like, electronic signing board to sign all the paperwork. And it was boom, 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 boom. It was just such a seamless and enjoyable experience. It reminded me of, I don't know if you guys have the Carvana commercials where you live, but that Didn't Suck song, that was pretty much our thoughts when we walked out of there, was that didn't suck. Well, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for today. The only thing I do want to let you guys know is that everyone says that when they bring something new into the channel, they're like, oh, well, the channel's not going to change. I'm like, well, you're bringing something new in the channel, so obviously the channel's going to change. So this is basically me warning you, the channel is going to change. It's not going to become all exclusive car content by any means. It's going to be a very healthy blend. It's still going to be heavily motorcycle focused, but I'm not going to sit here and say that there's not going to be any car stuff on there. So I apologize if you're the person that only wants, you know, motorcycles and Harleys and real bikes and rah, 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 but there is going to be some car stuff. Hopefully you stay subscribed. If not, it was nice having you here, but I will say I will make it very obvious in the thumbnail and the title what it's going to be. Basically, like when I had the Speed Triple and the Sportster, I made it very obvious when it was a Speed Triple video. I made it very obvious when it was a Sportster video. But even then, some people still got upset. So you're not going to ever please everybody. And I really don't care about pleasing people anymore. I think I've been on the internet long enough to realize that you're never going to make everybody happy. And it's not worth me worrying or caring about it. I'm basically, this is kind of a new revelation I've had with the channel since I've took that break over moving, is that I don't want to be the YouTuber that only makes videos that are gonna get the views. I mean, if that's the channel you want to do, more power to you. I'm not going to discredit you for doing that. If you want to do the how-to videos, if you want to do the tips and tricks videos, more power to you. Hopefully you do it well, because the internet needs videos that are done well in that category. But for me, it's not my goal, it's not my mission, and it's not my passion. So I'm not going to do anything I'm not passionate about. We've had this discussion within the motovlogger group chat before. I have to be be fake, quote unquote fake, 5 days out of the week with my day job. You know, I have to act prim and proper and professional. That's obviously not me. So when it comes to my videos, I'm not going to be fake. I'm not going to act like I know how to teach someone how to ride. I mean, I could, but it's not something I want to do. So I'm not going to waste my time doing it, because if the passion is not there, why even waste the energy? But building cars and building bikes is something that I am passionate about. So that is what I'm going to continue doing on the channel, is just being me and showing you guys the things that I'm passionate about, and hopefully you guys are here along for the journey, because honestly I really enjoy sharing it with you guys. But anyways, 2 videos to look out for. My plans for this car, that's going to be a whole new video, because that's a whole nother list. And probably we're just going to jump right into the modification series. I'm probably still going to call it a build series, even though we're not building shit, but it's definitely not going to be as extensive as the Dyna build series. It's going to be a lot of cosmetics at first, just because car stuff is a lot more expensive. I know I've brought that up previously on why I switched from cars to bikes in the first place. Yeah, but I've already got a lot of plans, a lot of ideas, and a couple things I need to fix first, and we'll go over that in that other video. And then of course I'm going to do my first review, the 5 things I hate, the 5 things I love, yada yada yada. But I told you earlier that I was going to tell you a little bit about the car, so I'm going to go ahead and pitch it to future Justin to go ahead and tell you a little bit about the 2014 Camaro SS 1LE.
Thanks, past Justin. The 1LE, like mentioned earlier, is a good mixture of ZL1 performance without the hefty price tag. Unlike your standard Camaro SS, the 1LE is not designed for straight-line performance. Quite the opposite, actually. The road racing-inspired Camaro 1LE performance package includes unique gearing, suspension tuning, and tires that make the model capable of more than 1 G of lateral acceleration. The 1LE package comes with an exclusive TR6060 MM6 6-speed transmission, paired with a numerically higher 3.91 final drive ratio. As with the ZL1, the 1LE transmission features a standard air-to-liquid cooling system for track use. The 1LE also features exclusive monotube rear dampeners instead of the twin-tube dampeners you find on the SS. The new hardware allowed engineers to tune the 1LE suspension to focus on optimal body motion control while preserving much of the ride quality and wheel motion control of the Camaro SS. Other changes to optimize the 1LE for track day use include a larger 27mm solid front stabilizer bar and a 28mm solid rear stabilizing bar for improved body control, a strut tower brace for improved steering feel and response, ZL1 based 20 by 10 inch front and 20 by 10 inch aluminum wheels wrapped in Goodyear Eagle Supercar G2 tires with 285s all around. It also includes ZL1 wheel bearings, toe links, and rear shock mounts, as well as the ZL1 high capacity fuel pump and additional fuel pickups for improved fuel delivery during high load cornering. Unlike the ZL1, the 1LE is not identified by special badges. Instead, it is distinguished by its matte black hood, front splitter, and rear spoiler, as well as the black 10-spoke ZL1 based wheels. The functional front splitter and rear spoiler contribute to the car's on-track performance by helping to reduce aerodynamic lift at high speeds. On the inside, you'll find a D-shaped steering wheel as well as a short throw shifter, both wrapped in suede, just like on the Big Brother ZL1. And just like the standard 2SS Camaros, you'll also find a Boston Acoustics premium sound system, Sirius XM satellite radio, Bluetooth, OnStar, a 7-inch touchscreen, and a full-color heads-up display. As far as the general specs of the 1LE, the engine is a 6.2-liter V8 LS3 making 426 horsepower and 420 foot-pounds of torque to the shaft. The car goes 0 to 60 in 5 seconds flat with a governed top speed of 155 miles per hour. Back to you, past Justin.
Thanks, future Justin. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up, guys. If you have any questions about the car or anything like that, go ahead and leave them down in the comment section below. And as always, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't already, go ahead and punch that subscribe button. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.